Hi everyone, my name is Ashley Bianchi and this is my presentation on an existential crisis. What is an existential crisis and have I experienced one? It's a conflict inside oneself to determine the meaning of life and understand why we exist in human form and on Earth. This can often lead to anxiety, panic, rationalizing, questioning, and identity confusion, eventually being aware that you will die. There are many factors that can induce this crisis, often correlating with a history of clinical depression, anxiety, and alcoholism. Other times in situations of grief, loss, violence, severe marital conflict, betrayal, infidelity, and professional exhaustion. There is some empirical research. The Russian State Social University conducted a questionnaire with 10 skills to establish the existence of an existential crisis and the manifestations of its components. The study consisted of 4 groups: drug-addicted people, chronic alcoholism, people who've had at least 3 suicide attempts, and individuals with normative behavior. This was the control group. The study concluded that individuals who have been drug-addicted will or have experienced a major existential life crisis. While it is important to note that those in the alcoholic group have endured more feelings of loneliness, those in the norm group were generally well established in life purpose. These studies are especially significant in the knowledge of how addiction and suicide attempts can affect daily life from a psychological perspective. I wanted to touch on suicide attempts just a little bit because the attempt or even success of ending one's own life called to question the reason they had to end their life. Suicidal ideations are often associated with great despair and dwelling in dark moments with no hope for the future. Thought these were pretty astounding numbers. There was just 1.6 million suicide attempts estimated in the United States in just 2022 alone. For quantitative research, there is existing research that suggested that the current generations are increasingly individualistic, materialistic, and narcissistic. The millennial generation is also found to be the least altruistically motivated. Keep in mind that these studies were done more than 10 years ago, so there is newer studies done as well. And as of 2017, there is unprecedented growth in cultural popularity or interest in purpose and life throughout the lives of the millennial generation. I'm not sure if this growth could be coming from when millennials first started attending college. Philosophy classes, art degrees, social sciences, and tech sciences could have sparked this interest and purpose of life. This graph is fascinating because it is using a cutting-edge technology called Google Book and Gram Viewer to collect the frequency of specific words requested to search in Google's vast online library. The library pulls from books written within the 1800s to the 2000s in this particular test to compare the regularity of the requested words over a time period. It is interesting to note that the relevance of individualistic words is increasing and the collectivistic words are decreasing. So these are words like obedience, belong, and pray. However, there is also a slight reverse in these roles beginning in the early 2000s. As you can see, there is a jump in the words like obedience and belong, and there's a slight decrease in individual or self or unique. I thought this was a pretty funny graphic of an existential map. These are just some questions that would relate to other people in our interactions with the world. So why are you born in this specific period? Why this family with these parents? Why these finances? Why this race? Why are your eyes this color? We can all ask these questions. You could ask them all day long, and it would be impossible for everyone to agree on a definitive answer for each one. We often subconsciously accept that this is the time and place we were meant for. Whether this has a divine spiritual reason or no apparent reason at all, it's the life you grew up in and the adversities and advantages you were born into, the consciousness you accept. There are also cognitive effects of having an existential crisis. This is stress, anxiety, angst, dread, thrill, and even excitement. These feelings associated with an existential crisis are indicative that there are things in your mind that need to be addressed. Accepting the feelings is essential to getting rid of them. Denying and pushing down these feelings may only make them feel worse in the future. These feelings will pass, but it can be a necessity to let yourself feel them. In a strange way, an existential crisis is a fairly normal experience. It's a natural part of who we are. Our brains are complex and intelligent, and it's no wonder we ask such deep questions. So why do we exist? We have virtually no universally agreed upon evidence for how, why, and who created us. Religion has given people a reason for existing and a purpose for life. However, it is widely known that a percentage of wars have been started over religion. Today we have unlimited access to the meaning of life available in texts, arts, ideologies, and religion. And the meaning of life is for us to determine for ourselves, whether it's to seek happiness, help others, fulfill a spiritual destiny, or anything else. Why am I personally interested in this topic? This is a passion topic of mine because I love how universal this experience is. Especially in our information age and individualistic society, it is far too easy to feel absolutely, positively alone in this world. And the reality is, we are not alone. And I do believe humans thrive best in community. We learn this in The Brain book by David Eagleman. The human thrives the best in relation to other human brains. The human brain thrives the best in relation to other human brains. In creationism, the book of Genesis, when God created Adam, he states that it is not good for man to be alone. We see this play out best in societies founded on interdependence. Marriage, tribal nations, Hispanic cultures, Mediterranean families, Chinese families, and many more that really depend on what each member can bring to the table to work as a well-oiled machine, celebrating an individual's skill, but also using that as a tool to help the greater family unit. My specific field of interest is applied behavioral analysis. It's a therapy based on the science of learning and behavior. While ABA therapy may have a darker start, as would the majority of mental health practices in cognitive therapy, I truly believe that it is important to help individuals with autism. It is a flexible therapy and can be tailored to an individual. It is in no way trying to treat autism, but rather help make life a little easier, helping give children skills to succeed in a world that still isn't very accepting of people with differences. Even though I would like to think that people with autism have as much respect and protection as anyone else, it just isn't the case. Their skills and differences are necessary and beautiful in society, so helping them find their voice and passion and to make life a little more comfortable is my goal. Understanding the philosophy of an existential crisis leads me to want to help kids and young adults on the spectrum to find their purpose and avoid experiencing a crisis in their existence as well. My main points: it is natural to experience an existential crisis, but every person has a fundamental right to find their own meaning for existence and to determine that for themselves. Yes, my main point is more of a statement or an argument, but I want to emphasize that it's okay to ask the big questions. It's okay to think about your mortality in relationship to recent loss, grief, aging, or new birth. It reminds me of this billboard for a retirement home, and it's a picture of a baby just after it's been born in the hospital, and the sign reads, "Future Old Person." It evokes the idea that we are all born, and we all die, and what we do in the middle is what counts, the legacy we leave behind. Everyone has a right to an individual and unique life, but we all belong in this life, and we should be allowed to seek spiritual counsel or community as we need. And these are just my references, but thank you.